I've been with the allergies. Anytime I leave my window open, I just get like blasted with allergies, and it just makes me tired and all gross. But
I feel like the allergies haven't been affected. Hold on, I'm gonna change locations real quick.
very good.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. My sister just got back from she was abroad for like 6 months. Now she's taken over. Yeah, now she's taken over my usual thing. She wants to watch TV. Hold up, I need to find a chair. I'm in my mom's bathroom right now.
Yeah, okay.
All right, I'm good.
You good to
All
go?
right, yeah, we good.
All right, perfect. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Sideline. My name is Rishioza,
My name's Asher Hire.
and we got a busy one today. A lot of stuff has happened. The finals ended. Celtics officially gonna raise banner 18. Um, some coaching hires, some big trades, and then some big Nuggets news that we're gonna get into. We'll start, I guess, with championship. I think our last episode we talked about it a little bit, and it was after game two. We essentially just said if Kyrie plays well and the role players are fine, Dallas has a chance to win. In game three, Kyrie played well, but Luka did not, and Boston won after they were down what 18 or something, or no,
Yeah.
they were up like 20 something, and then Dallas almost came back. Game four was a blowout. Game five was a blowout. So essentially, there was literally like one good game in this series, which is not great, not a great sign. Yeah, what were your thoughts overall in the series? To me, this is what I expected coming into the playoffs. Honestly, I thought Denver was going to be in there, but in terms of the East and how well Boston looked throughout the entire year, this is not a
Oh
surprise at
yeah.
all.
No, yeah, that's what I figured too. Just it's going to be a breeze for Boston in the East. Especially considering their matchups. Going into each matchup where you have guys, top players on the opposing teams injured. Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Halliburton. There's so many
Jimmy
more
Butler.
yeah, Jimmy Butler. Um, and so yeah, exactly. So the East was just going to be a breeze for Boston, and then I thought really like their main, you know, big time matchup was going to be against Denver, and I thought Denver, out of really any other NBA team, I think matches up with Boston the best. Um, Denver 2-0 against Boston in the regular season. I just think like Jokic can just neutralize Porzingis's, rim deterrence and his rim protection. That was just so key in the games that he played in the Dallas series. And then, I thought that the Nuggets had adequate guys on the perimeter to keep up with Tatum and Brown. And hopefully come out with a series win. But um, going against Dallas, that's what I expected though. Is kind of Boston in 5 games pretty much. And that's what happened. As you said, none of the games were close really. Like game three was kind of close for like as you said, like Boston built up that lead and then Dallas came back and then Boston went on like a 12-0 run like right after that, and it was just
Yeah.
over. It was like a close
Yeah.
game for like 2 minutes. Um, so pretty much what I expected. I really wanted more. I expected more out of Kyrie. He was just terrible,
He
like
was
really
awful.
bad. I
Yeah.
mean, worse than Murray against the Lakers,
Hmm.
worse than Murray against the Timberwolves. I mean, he was atrocious, especially the games at Boston.
Yeah, the games that was a nightmare. I like they had a chance to win some of those games if he plays well, especially game two. If Kyrie plays well in game two, uh, they have a chance to steal that one. But yeah, and especially Luca was injured. He wasn't 100%. He wasn't 100% the whole series, the whole playoffs essentially. But I think he aggravated an injury again in game one. So he wasn't healthy. And yeah, that like it was just bad matchup overall for Dallas. And yeah, Kyrie didn't play well, but Derek Jones and PJ Washington, after shooting it so well in the first three rounds, just completely they could not make an open three to save their lives.
yeah,
Boston's defense did a good job keeping them above the break, forcing them to shoot the threes that they normally do not like to shoot. Uh, and it worked out perfectly. It worked out in Boston's favor. And yeah, I mean that was such a perfectly built team. I thought they had depth. The coaching, Mazzulla did a great job. I thought his defensive schemes the entire playoffs were incredible. And offensively, you have to give like I was never one of the believers who thought that Tatum and Brown had to be split up or anything like that. I just didn't know if it was possible for them to win a championship if they had to be the main two playmakers. And I have to give props to them. Both of them improved their playmaking and their passing so much over the last 2 years, especially Tatum. Since the last time they were in the finals, Tatum was awful playmaking. He was one of the worst starters on the court against Golden State, but he was good. Everything except scoring, he was elite in the finals. And
yeah,
honestly, yeah, Jalen Brown won Finals MVP, but I thought Tatum had just as good of an argument to win it. Wouldn't have been angry if he did. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, this is a good team that's built to win for the next 3 or 4 years as well.
Yeah,
They got a lot
exactly.
of
I don't
guys under
know. I,
contract.
I don't know who in the East is going to even put up a real fight against them in the next couple of years. Even if the Sixers get Paul George or whatever, I still don't see that really making much of a difference. The Bucks maybe have one or two more years, I think, where they could be, you know, true championship contenders if they fill out the roster the right way. I think they could be a real problem. Obviously, I mean, Giannis, these past two playoffs, he's been injured. I mean, is that, going to become a thing in the future? I don't know. Lillard, he's injured too. He's getting old. So, I mean, I don't know about Milwaukee
Yeah.
if they can, stay healthy in the playoffs. And so I don't see any other team in the East really. Like, can you think of one team that can actually like give Boston a run for their money next year or in the next 2 years? Because
I
Boston has
can't. I
everybody.
really I like Milwaukee is the one team, but
Yeah,
it's more of like in a playoff series because if Giannis plays, I think he's going to dominate. Because as Horford ages and eventually retires in the next couple of years, they don't have anybody even close to equipped to stop him. Like Xavier Tillman is their best bet, I think, in terms of strength and size, but that's not going to do anything. Um, but I mean, man, the way that they hounded guards this postseason, the way that backcourt of Drew and Derek White looked defensively, I don't even know if Dame would have a good series against them. So um, I don't really know. I mean, I think Miami with Jimmy like has their number and has a chance, but he's gonna be 35 next year. I don't really know
yeah,
if he has that many more years where he can consistently produce in the playoffs. Obviously, the injury he had was kind of a freak thing. Like that's not anything with like durability or him wearing down or something like that. It was just a bad play. But I think Miami's like the one team just because they've been able to play him the best over the last 4 years in the playoffs. Outside of that, I don't see it. I mean, I don't trust Philly. I don't trust Embiid in the playoffs. I will say he played incredible in this year's playoffs. It wasn't his fault that they lost. It's obviously not his fault that he keeps getting injured, but you have to take that with him. If you're going to think about Philly, you have to think that Embiid's not going to be 100% going into the playoffs. And if he's not 100%, they're not going to win. And it depends on how they fill out the roster. If they,
yeah,
potentially can get KCP, that's a huge addition. If they do get Paul George, it sounds like that's not really going to happen anymore. But if things can change over the next week, if they get him, that obviously helps. So I don't know. I think like a dark horse team would be someone like Orlando, if because they have cap space, they have very easily fixable things. Like they just got to get some shooters and have to get Franz to back to where he was shooting his first couple of years, and then they're gonna be fine. Um, but I think that's the key. I think Orlando is probably like the one team I think in the future in the next like 4 or 5
Yeah,
years that has a
yeah.
chance to dethrone them. But outside of that,
No, I
I
agree.
can't think of
I
anyone
agree.
else.
Yeah, the thing with Boston is that they have all these guys locked up, like Tatum, Brown, Derek White, Porzingis,
Yeah,
and
Drew
Drew.
signed
All
an
these,
extension.
yeah, all these guys are going to be around for the next like at least 2 or 3 years. So I mean, shit, I don't see. Yeah, I mean, I see Boston again just winning 60 games and making the finals next year again. I don't know how they
And
can be
it's like
stopped.
Tatum and Brown are just now entering their primes too. Brown's 27, Tatum's 26. Like these guys are gonna be there for a while, even if the supporting cast. Like I think Porzingis is 30 or just turned 30. Um, he might start to decline over the next few seasons, especially with his injury history. Derek White and Drew Holiday might start to decline, but those guys for the next 4 years, they can still build around them very, very easily for the next 6 to 7 years when they're
Yeah,
still, relatively in their primes. But yeah, I mean that Boston team is scary, and now they have the belief that they can do it. I think this was the biggest issue with Boston the entire time was like, yeah, they have the talent. They were the most talented team in basketball last season. They're the most talented team in basketball the season before that. Obviously, the most talented team this year. But it was always like, well, when it gets to the playoffs, when it gets to crunch time, when it gets down to get to do dirty work, they don't do it. But they did it this year. They filled out the roster with guys who can do that,
yeah,
and Brown and Tatum also improved enough to be able to do that. And that's a scary sight. Knowing that they have that belief that they can do it, that's definitely scary.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. They're going to be a problem, huge problem. Um, so there you go, Boston banner number 18. Wow. Congrats to the Boston fans. But we haven't seen one since 2008. So I mean, it has been a while.
For a while, it's been
Um,
a while. Yeah, it's in Boston time. It's been a while
yeah,
since the city of
right,
Boston
right.
in general has had a parade, but it's been
Dude,
5 years,
it's
full
just in
5 years.
yeah, yeah, but it's crazy how like every I don't know, dude. It doesn't like there's always just one or two sports every year where they make like the finals, like whether it's the
Yeah,
Patriots or the Bruins or the Celtics or the Red Sox. Boston is just always up there for sports. It's crazy. It really is. It's like how is Boston always this good, but then New York is like, like only
always
the
impossible.
Yankees. Yeah.
Yeah, like the Rangers over the last few years have been good, but the Jets and the Giants and the Mets
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
Islanders, they all
Yeah, the
suck.
Yankees have been choking recently. Um,
Yeah.
like I mean, like last year's playoffs, they choked. I could see them choking this year, honestly, too. They've been,
Mhm.
I don't know, but they've been in a little slump here recently. But um, yeah, I don't know how we started talking about the Yankees. But anyways, all right, Nuggets off season. I guess we can move into this. Maybe do you want to do like the big decisions the Nuggets have to make internally, I guess, first. There was already
Yeah.
one this morning, obviously, Reggie Jackson. But you have to figure out, what you're gonna do with Zeke Naji. The KCP decision is obviously the biggest one for the Nuggets. Will they really get into that luxury tax? Are the Cronkies really comfortable? I think paying that like second apron
Yeah.
luxury tax to re-sign KCP on like a 2 year $30 million deal or something like that. We'll see. Or will they trade Zeke Naji? Now they have $5 million they can use with Reggie Jackson. I don't know who's really going to take them, but as a salary, filler, um, they have him, and then obviously they have their first round pick that they can trade as well. So Nuggets got some options. I'm pretty excited for this offseason. Last offseason was a pretty like boring one. I felt like just because I mean going into the offseason, you knew Bruce Brown was going to leave.
Yeah.
And the Nuggets, didn't really have the money to do anything. So they really didn't do anything last offseason. It was just more banking on Peyton Watson and Christian Brown to continue to develop. If which we did see, I love how Christian Brown finished the season, and it gives me a lot more confidence for him to slide into that starting role if KCP does end up walking. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of Nuggets offseason decisions to be made in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is obviously the biggest offseason of Calvin Booth's tenure. Um, I don't think he necessarily botched last year's offseason, but and he I think there could have been more things done. There could have been trades done. Obviously, the Zeke extension is looking really bad now. But
Yeah,
there's a
and the
lot of stuff that he
Reggie
could
the
have done.
Reggie extension, if they don't
Oh
trade
yeah,
Reggie, I think if they don't trade Reggie and he just like the backup point guard next year, I think that's a bad
yeah,
decision too. That we already thought. I mean, this is a big overpay to pay Reggie Jackson $5 million is already, I think, an overpay. And if he's not traded, I don't really know what the point of that contract was.
yeah. It's tough, but I think there's definitely some options. The only issue is that KCP's decision is gonna come after the draft, and any trade that they make involving that pick has to come on draft night, and that's kind of the issue that comes with it. So hopefully they know what KCP's mind is at, where the number is at, and I'm sure they do. I mean, you can start negotiating with your own free agents at that time. He's not even technically a free agent yet, so like they know. I'm sure they know where his mind's at and what he's going to do. But he's going to take it to the deadline just in case anything freak happens. Uh, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways that they can go. There's a lot of ways that they can go where I would be happy with it. But what I wouldn't be happy with is if they stick with Reggie or Jalen Pickett as the backup point guard and use the pick and like they stay with the youth movement kind of with that bench. That's where I'm kind of like, guys, we gotta understand what's going on here. Um, but
Yeah,
say if they trade the pick and get another guy, I think the popular one floating around is Boyan or Bogdan Bogdanovic from Atlanta. You would have to trade Zeke, Reggie, and then probably Tyson or Pickett with that first round pick, and then get Bogdanovic. Denver has to think if that's worth it. A 3-for-1 for a guy who's probably going to come off the bench for you. Then you still have to figure out who your backup point guard is going to be. Is it going to be if you keep Pickett? Is it going to be him? Is it going to be Gillespie? Are you going to try and sign someone? Are you going to try and take someone with your second round pick to be the guy? Who's it going to be? And then obviously the backup center is I think equally important, if not more important,
yeah,
especially with that pick. I don't think there's many guys they can trade for. I don't think there's many guys they can sign. Um, but there's some guys that they could draft who I would be really happy with at that spot. Uh, but it's interesting. Like I said, there's a lot of ways that they can go with this pick
yeah.
and with the trades. But
No,
there's like
there's
literally two scenarios where I would be pissed off if they happen.
yeah, there is a lot of ways. I think there's even ways, if KCP leaves, that they could be a better team, maybe.
Yeah,
If Brown slides into that shooting guard spot and say you trade for Clarkson or Bogdanovich to come off the bench, and there's a huge scoring, pop right there. You can go after these minimum guys like Andre Drummond or Chris Paul or Russell Westbrook. I feel like you can kind of get, you know, on the minimum as veterans would be. I would take Chris Paul for sure as a
yeah,
backup point guard. Or
yeah,
Westbrook, even honestly, like I still like his energy and his defense and stuff, and his playmaking. Chris Dunn is another one that I really like.
yeah. Chris
It
Dunn.
seems
Chris
like,
Dunn's
dude,
probably my top guy.
it seems like anytime I look at like the Jazz box score, it's like Chris Dunn has like 8 assists and like 3 steals. It's like every
Yeah,
game it feels like
he's
he
good,
would
and
be
he's a
nice.
good defender too.
Oh
And
yeah, really good.
I think he'd do a better job getting the offense involved. The issue is if you get Chris Dunn, you would need Peyton Watson or Julian Strother, one of those two, to make a leap offensively and be a factor.
Right.
because Dunn's not going to be a scorer guy. He's much more of a playmaker. Reggie is a scorer, and you could, sometimes rely on him to take the shots. Like he might not make it, but at least something's going to happen with Reggie, and that was a good thing. The offense was never really that stagnant. Uh, but with Chris Dunn, it could be if Peyton Watson doesn't improve on his shooting and Julian Strother isn't a part of the rotation or he's not aggressive when he has the ball. But those are the things that you got to hope on. But I would love Chris Dunn. In terms of centers, like you said, Drummond, if he signs for the minimum, that would be perfect. I think he's the ideal guy that you would want. He doesn't really need the ball in his hands, an elite rebounder, still a lob threat, good defender. Like he's the perfect guy that you would want. But if he doesn't go there, I think Goga Bitadze is he's probably choice number two.
Yeah.
Guy can stretch the floor. It does once again doesn't need the ball in his hands. He's a better shot blocker. Probably the best shot blocker Denver would have uh, on the team outside of Peyton Watson. He can once again he can shoot the ball. I think he shot like 35% from three last year. Um, good screener. Like he's a good player, and I think he
Yeah.
could be good. I don't think Orlando. I think Orlando's a little log jammed at the center spot. He started when Wendell Carter was out, but once he came back, Goga was out of the rotation. So I think there's a chance that he could leave and he's unrestricted. But outside of those two, there's not a lot of options. I think Denver, if they want to go for center, they would have to go into the draft.
Yeah, I'm trying to
And
remember these Warriors games if Saric like was playing the backup five for them because he would be another one I would like. I thought he had a really
yeah,
good year last year with the
Saric would
Warriors,
be
but
good.
I'm trying to remember like did he play with like Trace Jackson Davis alongside him on the bench where
I
he
think he
was kind of
did.
the center? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was kind of just like a small ball lineup. My only issue with Saric, ideally, I know Vlatko's coming off the injury. Ideally, I would want him to be of the four, and I think him and Saric are like the same. I think Saric is obviously a more aggressive scorer, but I think they do a lot of the same things, so it might be a little redundant.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, I would like that. That would be good. Like that would not be bad at all if he's in there. Um,
Yeah. Another
or if he
another
plays the four, I
guard
don't know.
Another guard that I wanted this guy the trade deadline last year, and he had a really good playoffs with the Heat is DeLon Wright.
Yes.
Um, outside of like the game three or something where he just like missed because it was like his birthday it's like his
Oh
birthday the
yeah,
day
yeah.
before and then he was out the next game for personal reasons. I'm like he's probably a little hungover, but then the next game he came back and nailed like five threes. I'm pretty sure four or five threes at Boston. So I mean I was kind of pissed off when the Nuggets didn't trade for him, and then you see in the playoffs it's like damn, I mean he was a better option than Reggie. So I mean, he's another guy. He's also has been known for his defense and veteran, and he can shoot. So I mean, I'd like him too. I'm excited, man, because there's a lot of options. I mean, I think Jordan Clarkson would be really cool to not have to like because I've seen him
Deal with him.
torment the Nuggets team so many times.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe there's a reason the Jazz like are letting him kind of go. Maybe he's I don't know inefficient.
Maybe I don't know. It's
Um,
it's interesting. It's interesting. Like Clarkson would be a good option. It's just hard. Like in division, I know basketball divisions aren't as big of a deal as football. So trading in division doesn't mean as much, but you never know with Danny Ainge how he's gonna act around that. But Clarkson would not be a bad option at all.
oh,
Not
the other like dream, I guess five I would have is Kelly Olynyk. Um, he would be amazing, I think, because he can shoot.
yeah,
I mean, it's like he averages like a triple single, but like a good like eight,
yeah, a
seven,
solid
like
triple
five
single.
type of like yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And yeah, he can shoot. Um, so I would really like Olynyk as well. And all these guys are realistic. If if KCP leaves,
yeah, yeah. That's the key. If KCP leaves, I think there's some options. If KCP stays, DeLon Wright is still an option. Chris Dunn's still an option. Goga's still an option because those guys are likely still minimum.
yeah,
But Clarkson's tough. It's tough to fit him under the cap with that. Same with Olynyk. Olynyk just signed an extension. I know that too. So probably have to trade a couple guys. I think you could fit Zeke and Reggie in there, and with the first probably be able to pry him away from Toronto. But Toronto's weird, so I don't know how they'll act around it. But yeah, Kelly Olynyk would be perfect because that way Denver doesn't have to change the style of play with the bench. He's definitely he's like the closest mini Jokic that there is in the league. He's great on DHOs. He can pick and pop. He can post up. He's really I've been wanting Kelly Olynyk for a long time, but he's a coveted guy around the league. Um, but yeah, I think Olynyk's good. There's a couple guys in the draft too. I want to know who are your guys at 28 that you think Denver should look at least because there's a lot of options they can go for.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the main guy that everyone's talking about is Deron Holmes. Apparently, like they guaranteed or whatever that they would pick him at 28. I don't know if he's going to be all the way down there. I don't know if he's going to be available. So I mean, I guess he would be like my number one guy, I guess, just because he's got like the same like measurables as like Zeke Naji and probably the same like kind of like I don't know they both kind of they can like coming out of college Zeke was like a stretch four guy who can also like dunk and stuff and they have the same body but Holmes can do so much more like with the ball in his hands than Zeke Naji can for sure and he went I like the improvement of Holmes being he couldn't really shoot when he first got to Dayton but now in his junior year. He was amazing shooting the ball. The other guys, like I guess guards, there's the guy from UConn, who I'm blanking. I
Tristan
don't know how.
Newton.
Yeah. Him, I think would be a decent pickup. Um, Johnny Furphy, dude out of Kansas, is really young.
Yeah.
Um, he could be another option. I guess like Kolek maybe a little bit. I don't know how he's going to do in the NBA with his size, but I mean he's just a really smooth guy with the ball in his hands. As a backup point guard, he might you know be better than Reggie already. So there's options. I don't know. Who would you rather like them pick a guard or a big guy?
I would rather them take a big guy. If they're going to keep the pick, I'd rather it be a big guy because I think center is an easier position to learn on the fly with a contending team. You're especially with this contending team, your role is going to be so simple. It's going to be screen, roll to the rim, catch the ball, dunk it. If you can shoot, shoot it, and then not be a horrific defender. Like it's very simple. Um, yeah, they have to know how to do the schemes. They have to know what to do. But it's not a very complicated role. I think with point guard, you're going to be handed the keys to the offense. You have to control everything. And I think for you rookie point guards, it is so hard to jump into a contending team and do that
Yeah.
because contending teams can't afford mistakes, especially a team in the West that needs home court advantage throughout the playoffs. You cannot afford to have a guy make mistakes the entire time. They tried it with Pickett early in the season. Like when Murray was injured, they had Pickett, they had Gillespie. Neither of them were really able to do great things. Gillespie was playing later on, but Pickett did not look great. And he was a guy who was at college for 4 years and you thought was an NBA ready guy and he still struggled. So it's really hard to imagine a young guy coming in and being elite immediately. Or not even elite, just being competent immediately at the point guard position. I think it's the hardest spot to learn in the NBA. I mean, every single point guard that's been a star, it takes them like 2, 3 years to really grow into who they can be. And I think it's hard to envision that with a contending team. But yeah, I mean, there's a few guys who I would look. I'm trying to find the tweet. Ryan Blackburn tweeted it out. I'm trying to find it, but he tweeted out like 25 guys that here it is. So at point guard, there's obviously guys. I think Kolek is the most realistic who could potentially be there and would be the guy. But okay, if they do take someone, he could be good because he did run an offense. He run an NBA style offense at Marquette. One of the best playmakers in college. He can shoot. He's not an awful defender, but he can hold his own. I think. AJ Mitchell is good defense. Not that good of a shooter, but he can get downhill. He's good. KJ Simpson is going to be there. He's a solid guy. He's just a little short, um, but I think he could. That's why I don't want him because I think he's just too small. Um, Tristan Newton, you mentioned he's an elite defender, good playmaker. I honestly think he'll be there in the second round too. I don't think Denver needs to take him at 28. but he's there. Isaiah Collier is a guy who I'm looking at maybe because he seems to be dropping down the draft board like crazy. You watched more college basketball than I did? I know that for a fact. Do you have any idea
Yeah,
why? Because like he averaged
but
16 and 4 as a freshman. Like that's not bad at all. I don't know why he's falling so far.
yeah, no, I don't know. I didn't watch much like USC basketball, honestly. I don't know because I remember this guy was like the top like player in his high school class. Um, and he was, considered like a top five pick coming into the year. And then yeah, as you said, it seemed like he had a good season at USC. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I have no idea. I have no idea.
It doesn't make any
Um,
sense. It's not like he was horrifically efficient. He was like 45% from the field. He couldn't shoot. Like he didn't shoot the ball well, but for him to drop that far down, it doesn't really make any sense uh, to me. I think that's just smoke because I don't think there's any way a freshman guard who averaged 16 and 4 is gonna fall that far. There's no way. I refuse to believe NBA teams are that dumb.
yeah, and he's
Uh,
like a 6'5", like he's a big point guard too.
yeah, he's
He's a
just like
good
stocky.
good passer. I think he can be a good defender.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, he was number two in his class. Um,
yeah.
so I mean that would be, yeah, that would be a good one for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's
there's
like if
also
I don't know if he's gonna. I don't know if him or Holmes are gonna be there. Like Holmes is the thing where I'm like, this dude, he won ACC Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. He averaged 20 and 10. He shoots 40% from three. Like, why? How? Why is a guy like that even remotely in the conversation to be picked at 28? That doesn't make any sense. Like, unless his agent is telling, like, unless he's like, yeah, I want to go to Denver. And his agent is like, don't draft him. Like, he's Denver's. That doesn't make any sense why he's being mocked so low or why there's not a lot of buzz around him. Like, I think
yeah,
draft Twitter loves him.
dude. I know that's
Um,
what I'm like. It seems like there is a lot of buzz around him, but like,
I think it's just Twitter though, because you look at all of the mock drafts, like ESPN, Bleacher Report, CBS, all of them have him low, like in the second round or at 28 to Denver.
yeah,
Because I'm pretty sure Denver is the team that promised him um, at 28.
yeah.
There's
If
no
that's
way that he
true,
falls that far. I refuse to believe a guy with those intangibles is going to be available at 28. That doesn't make any sense. It just does not make any sense.
yeah.
But
There's also Filipowski out of Duke.
yeah,
He would be an interesting one because he can shoot. I mean, he's got a lot of skill for sure. He's also one of those guys who was a top high school prospect and kind of like a unicorn, whatever, 7 footer that can handle and shoot. So I mean, he's another guy. This mock draft I'm looking at right now has us taking Baylor Shireman from Creighton. I don't know about that. I don't know about like drafting like a forward like that. Like I'd rather us either get a guard or a center. I don't know if like the forward. I really hope also as another internal decision is Justin Holiday. I really hope he's back, man.
yeah,
Um, and he could honestly start honestly if KCP leaves. I don't know
yeah.
how the fan base would like feel about that if KCP leaves and then Holiday goes in the starting spot, and then you have Christian Brown, off the bench, and then you have a lot of money to work with, whether it's getting a scoring guy like Clarkson, that would cost more than the minimum, or a big that would cost more than the minimum. I wonder how that would, you know,
I don't know.
fare.
I feel like if you go get a guard, if KCP leaves and you go trade for a guard, I think it has to be a point guard. It can't be a shooting guard because I think Christian Brown. We saw it this year when Christian Brown was at the three. It did not work. He was getting
Yeah,
taken advantage of. His defense wasn't nearly as good. Once they moved him back to the two, he improved everything. His offense was better. His defense was better. His rebounding came back to what it was last year. So I think it's hard. Like if they go get Clarkson or Bogdanovich, Brown has to start. There's no way that you can keep both of them on the team because one of them is going to have to play the three, and it's going to be Brown. And I
yeah,
don't know, but I agree. Bringing Justin Holiday back would be. I don't think. I mean, he's a guy who might get more than the minimum though as well. And Denver can't. They literally cannot afford more than the minimum. Because he played well. Played well in the playoffs. I mean, he was one of the best shooters, one of the only consistent shooters Denver had
yeah.
on the floor. And he gave you spot starts when KCP was down and Aaron Gordon was down.
And he
Every
played the
championship
best.
game, he was
He
there.
played the best defense on Anthony Edwards the whole
Yeah,
series.
yeah. Yeah, so I would definitely love to get him back. It's just hard to envision him coming back for anything less than the minimum or more than the minimum because I don't think Denver they can't afford that. But like Baylor Shireman is, he's just what Justin Holiday is essentially. He's a worse defending Justin Holiday kind of.
Yeah, it's like what is I mean,
Um,
like we have Hunter Tyson, it just seems kind of redundant.
you have
Um,
Hunter Tyson, you have Strother as well, who's a
yeah.
shooter. He
And
if
they're really
Strother can be what like Sam Hauser is next year, like that's
yeah. They're
fine.
really hoping for big things out of Strother. Like apparently he was finishing the year. Like Malone even considered to play him in the playoffs. Like I guess in
Yeah.
practice he finished the year just out really strong, like with the Nuggets in the training facility. So I think they're, you know, banking a lot, I guess, on him as being a
I
good
mean, dude,
scoring guy.
like remember him in preseason? Like he was the best player.
Yeah,
He was
I mean
cooking.
there were even games in the regular season, like the game. I wait, was that Bulls game? Was that preseason or regular season? I forget.
That was
There's
regular
like a
season.
yeah, there's a game at Chicago where he had, I feel like almost like 20 points or something.
Yeah,
Um,
he's. I think Strother can be good. He's. I think he's exactly what Denver needs too, where it's like a spark plug scorer off the bench because he's not just a shooter. He has ball handling ability. He's got a floater. He can get in the lane. He's obviously got to get a little stronger and a little smarter, but I think he can be good. Which is why I look at like if you get a shooting guard or a small forward, especially with that type of archetype, it's like, well, then what are you drafting Strother for? Like you're just loading up.
yeah,
I feel like you're loading up on the wrong position.
yeah,
Denver's loaded up on wings over the last 2 years of free agency in the draft, and it's like, okay, now you got to put your attention toward point guard. You got to put your attention towards center. So it's interesting. I don't know. It's definitely. I think out of the shooting guards, um, out of the shooting guards and small forwards, the two guys who I'm interested in, Kevin McCullough, I really like out of Kansas. He's like I think he's a Bruce Brown light type of guy. He can really do everything. He can run an offense. He can play the two. He can play the three. He had a couple triple doubles in college. Like he was just injured. He was one of the best players in college the first couple of months. So he just
yeah,
was injured later in the year. But he's really, I really like him. If he can figure out how to shoot consistently, that would be perfect. But I don't know. I once again, it's like it's a shooting guard essentially. Like if you're drafting him to play point guard, yeah, that's a different story. But once again, I don't know about drafting a point guard that early. And Ryan Dunn is another guy. He
yeah.
doesn't give you anything on offense. I will say that he is like if Peyton Watson had no offensive game, but everybody who I have seen talk about him, they said he's
Dude,
like the best perimeter defender they've ever scouted.
bro, he's insane. He's actually insane. Like the amount of time, I think he's there 2 years. I'm a big Carolina college basketball fan, so I've watched like all the Carolina games. Anytime they play Virginia, I mean, he's everywhere. He's literally everywhere. He can do everything. He can rim like Peyton Watson. Peyton Watson was just ranked, I just saw, as the number one forward at guarding the rim. It was like Synergy Sports or something,
Yeah,
probably some like rim deterrent stat. Peyton Watson was number one in the NBA out of all forwards.
yeah,
And I could see Ryan Dunn being like number one next year out of all
easily,
forwards and
easily.
rim. I mean, he gets in the passing lanes. He's amazing one on one. I mean, like he just can't get around him at all. Um,
Yeah,
and those guys are fun. I saw like this video of like Drew Holiday locking up maybe his brothers or something in like some training, like they
yeah.
were just in a gym like having fun, and Drew Holiday was just locking these guys up. That made me like that was just so fun to watch. Like watching these guys really defend and move their feet is just
Yeah,
crazy how fast their reactions are. And Ryan Dunn is like exactly like that. I
yeah.
mean, he is the
But that's
best
the thing. Like,
defender in this class, but yeah, there's
I think he
absolutely
is. I
no
think he is too.
offense.
Yeah, that's the issue. It gives you no offense, and once again, it's another position that you don't really need. It's at the wing.
Yeah,
But man, he would be fun. He would really be fun. But if they drafted him, it's not like I'm gonna be mad or anything. It's like, dude, this guy, you could plug him in right now. If you play him with Jokic, he's gonna make him a competent offensive player because he's a cutter. Like he's still a really, really good. Like he's athletic. He's gonna if he learns how to cut properly off Jokic, he's gonna get 6 points a game. But man, that he is such a good defender. But he's the other guy who I have my eye on where it's like I know Denver shouldn't draft him, but it's like it's gonna really make me angry when another team does because he's gonna be an impact player in year one.
yeah, yeah,
He's like if Herb Jones just couldn't shoot. That's what he's like. It's nuts. But if he ever learns to shoot, it's over for everybody. But yeah, I like Holmes. Like you said, Holmes is good. Filipowski, I think would be good. I think him and Šarić are kind of like um, similar types. So if you're not going to sign Šarić, you're going to sign or draft Filipowski. That's not a bad choice at all. A couple of guys. How would you feel if Zach Edey drops that far? If
Ooh,
Holmes is gone and Edey's
I'm
there,
taking him. I'm taking him.
you're taking him.
I really like Zach Edey, honestly. Like his touch being 7'4" is just insane. I don't think people like talk about like touch being as high because Jokic is the best player in the NBA because of his touch. Like having good touch as a big man, and it's just rough when you see big men with no touch. So it's DeAndre
Yeah,
Jordan or guys around the rim trying to do like a little hook shot. I mean, Rudy Gobert. Oh
yeah,
man, it's just brutal to watch. Except when he takes a turnaround, whatever. I'm not even gonna just ignore it. I'm not even gonna talk about it. That's the only way it goes in for him, I guess. But yeah, I mean, like having good touch and being 7'4", his hands are amazing. He's a big 7'4" too. Like he's huge, like muscles and stuff. I think his defense was a lot better last year than it was earlier in his Purdue career. So I mean, I would take him as a backup center. Hell yeah, man. Shit,
yeah.
7'4". Yeah.
And I mean, I know this is obviously different, but in the combine, I mean, he was shooting it well, like good
Dude,
from
that's the
three
other
point
thing.
range.
I think that yeah, you see he's a good free throw shooter. Not
Yeah,
great, but he's a good free throw shooter and he puts a lot of arc on it. So I think that touch, like that inside touch can translate to the outside too.
absolutely. Yeah, I think there's potentially. I don't. He's not going to be 40%. He's not going to be Brook Lopez year one, but I think he has the chance to at least give you some sort of spacing on offense. And if he's there at 28, if it's like if he's there, but Holmes is gone, um, I I would probably take Filipowski over him just because I think Filipowski has a more NBA ready game on offense. And I think he also fits what Denver wants to do. Denver wants to play small in the playoffs. That's just what they want to do. But I think you need a legit center in the regular season, which is the issue. So it's like, where are you going to draft the playoffs or are you going to draft the regular season? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Um, but if Holmes is gone, um, honestly, if McCullough's gone and if Holick is gone, I would, and if you're not going to trade that pick, Holmes is or Edie's definitely a guy who I would look at. But
Yeah.
if like your top 4 or 5 guys are off the board, you got to trade that pick. I also think like at that point, are you even confident that that player is going to be able to help you immediately? I think Denver has to draft for need and NBA ready guys. I think Edie can be that, but I don't know if he's that far down your board. It's hard to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I really like 80. I feel like he's gonna go like top like 20 at least, top 15. I don't know. I'm a big Edie guy because I like how he establishes post position too. Like he really fights down there and gets
mm-hmm.
I mean when once he does this and he's like, in the restricted area, it's a bucket every single time. And I think that, against NBA players too, because nobody's gonna move him off his spot because he's a huge guy.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so I don't know. I'm a big Edie guy. So I mean, I would love it, but I don't know if he'll be available. Um,
yeah. It's
and
tough.
then with that,
This draft is so weird. I feel like a lot of the guys who Denver has a chance to take, their ranges are from like late lottery to mid second round. It's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
nuts. It's nuts.
yeah,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways Denver can go. Draft is on Wednesday, so we'll see what happens then. Denver's not going to know what KCP's doing, or at least not going to be public, but I'm sure they know at that point. So, based on what decisions we'll make, we'll start to get clear visions about uh, what they will do. They take a guard. It's probably not a great sign. I'll say that. If they trade the pick, it's also probably not a great sign because that means they're going to try and go get someone with salary. Um, but if they use that pick, they get a center. I would expect KCP to be back um, on a deal. It's just hard. Like I mean, there's some teams that can prime away. Um, Philadelphia is probably the number one contender for a team to prime away. Um, but we'll see. I mean, once again, we're not going to know until July 1st at midnight what he's going to do. And we just gotta hope that he comes back. Because I think, like you said, I think there's ways Denver can become better without KCP because they can allocate that salary in a lot of different ways, and it gives Christian Brown more opportunities. And honestly, I like Christian Brown in the starting lineup. I think he ended the season great. He shot the ball great. Um, I think for me to be as comfortable as possible, he's got to shoot the ball well in the playoffs. He didn't shoot it great in the playoffs, even though he played in both series, and he was getting legit minutes and closing games and stuff. He still didn't shoot it great. He has to do that. But I'm more than confident with him in a regular season setting, starting. And then obviously they can make moves to get big men, other point guards, other shooting guards without KCP. But I think that starting lineup with him is just such a perfect fit. Um, Best case scenario, you sign him to like a 3-year deal with a player option for that third year, and then you know see what happens from there. But
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm excited though. I'm excited. This is going to be a fun off season for sure. I think there's a lot of ways Denver can improve.
No, for real. It feels like the Bruce Brown offseason of 2 years ago, where it's like you felt like going into the offseason that the Nuggets needed to, make a big time kind of signing. And like those first like couple days, they didn't sign anybody. Remember they signed DeAndre Jordan right when the thing started. And then like the next
Yeah,
couple of days, they didn't sign anybody. And Bruce Brown was just sitting there. I'm like, please pull the trigger. Like we have the money. And finally
yeah,
they did. But it feels like that type of offseason where it's like going into that offseason, I felt like the Nuggets were like one Bruce Brown signing away from being true championship contenders.
yeah,
And that's what they were. And if that's what it feels like going into this offseason now, is that they're one guy away, I feel like, um,
yeah.
from being back to true championship contenders. And I
And it's like, it's not even that. I still think they are a championship. That
yeah,
series against Minnesota was so weird. You go down 0-2 in disheartening fashion. Then you do what only 5 other teams have done ever, is win 3 straight after losing your first 2 at home. And then you choke a 20-point lead at home in game 7. It's like, this was still a championship caliber team, even with the fact they sleptwalked the first 7 games of the playoffs, even with the fact that Jamal Murray was injured. I still think that's a team that could have made the finals. I don't think they would have won it based on how good Boston was, but they would have made it at least. So like they don't need to do anything too crazy, and I think the
yeah,
team knows that because if they would have done something crazy already if they were going to overreact. Season's been over for a month now, so like they would have done something at this point. But it's gonna be interesting to watch. It's gonna be interesting to watch. That second round pick too. I'm excited to see who they get there because I think Tristan Newton should be available at that point. He should still be available at 56. I don't think teams are going to take a 5th-year point guard who can't really shoot in the first round. I know there's no way. Um, but I think he'll still be there. If they get him as well as Holmes, that's like the perfect draft for me because then you
yeah,
address both your needs. I think Newton can play year one. It's just hard to imagine him taking him in the first round because he does have some scoring deficiencies. But
yeah.
there's things that they can do that would make me very very happy, and we'll see. I do hate the fact the draft is 2 days now. That's so annoying.
Yeah, like come on,
Like
man. This isn't the NFL. There's only 60 picks. Like just
the
announce
second
all of them.
round goes by so fast. It goes by
Yeah.
so quick. You can easily do it in one day. I know why they're doing it. It's for money reasons, but it's like God, come on. It's just
Um,
annoying everyone for no reason.
I hope
But
that doesn't mean that the first round will just take forever now. Like
oh,
it might. I don't know.
maybe. I mean, it normally takes forever anyway because there's
Yeah, yeah.
commercials and 10 minutes for each pick, pretty much. So it does normally take a while. But we'll see. Who are your outside of not even Denver guys for the draft? Take Nuggets out of the
Mm.
equation. Who are your guys that you like? You think
Dude,
are
I
going to
like
be
the
good?
Missy. I like Missy from or
Baylor.
yeah. I think I mean if I don't think he's gonna fall. Like he's probably it seems like he's gonna be like around the 20-ish mark. But I mean a 7-footer who is just, good defensively and whatever is good in the paint too. I think he would be, a cool pickup. So I like him. Um the other guys I like, I mean, obviously, again, this is like a draft where it's super deep, but there's nobody really standing out in like the top
Yeah.
5 or whatever. Um, but maybe if I had to like pick a guy that I like in the top whatever like 10-ish range, I mean, Cody Williams, I think, is going to be good.
Hmm.
Um, I would take Sar over Zachary number one. Um, but it seems like
Yeah.
it's going to be, Rasashe, Sar, and then Shepard, which I mean, I like Shepard too. Stephon Castle is another guy. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
this is it's not like super loaded at the top, but these guys are still like really good. I
They're
feel like
pretty good
Castle could
players.
be, yeah, Castle could be a really good player.
They're really good
Um,
players.
and then one guy who I feel like is like maybe falling a little bit, but every time I watch him, he plays really well. Is that Matas Buzelis,
Hmm.
the skinny guy who I think is just really smooth and can score and everything. Who is that one? There's a Nikola, not Topic, but the other guy. Um,
Oh, Jurisic.
yeah, he seems like really fun as well.
He
But
seems
I don't
really
know if
fun.
he's has he. I don't know if he's gonna go in the first round or what.
I don't think he's gonna go
Um,
in the first, but I think he's gonna go before the 50s. I
yeah,
would say he's
yeah,
gonna go like late 30s, early 40s. I would say. But he looks really fun. He looks like he's gonna be a fun guy to
yeah.
watch.
And then another
Yeah.
guy who I really liked watching him, unfortunately enough, because he played at Duke, but Jared McCain, I think, is really,
Mm,
I mean, he's a lights out shooter. I think he does all the little things well. I like his attitude and all that. I really think McCain is a good player. I know like his TikToks are weird, but um, I mean, I think he's a whoever like drafts him around like the 15-ish mark, end of the lottery. I think is going to get a really good player who can play like year one.
yeah.
Um,
I would love him to go to the Spurs, honestly. I think that would be a great addition for them. But I don't think he's better players to take at 8 or whatever their pick is. Their second first rounder. But yeah, I love McCain. I think he's going to be really good. For his size, his rebounding is crazy good too. But I like him. I love Devin Carter out of Providence. That guy is he's really really
yeah,
really good. Um, he is such a like I wish so bad Providence made the tournament because this dude I watched. Unfortunately, I had to watch so much Big East basketball because of my internship last year. But man, that dude is a killer. I mean, he can shoot the ball super well. Averaged like 22 a game, and
yeah.
he's like 6'2", but he averaged almost 8 rebounds a game in college. Like he is
Wow.
nuts. His energy level is ridiculous. He's gonna go in the lottery. So I think whatever team gets him is gonna get a dog. He is crazy crazy good. I I don't know how to feel about Reed Shepard. That's the one guy where I'm like, God, it's so weird because like his vertical, yeah, whatever, it's 42 or something, but he doesn't use it ever. It's not. He's not a guard
Right.
that like
Like, is
uses
it
his
actually
vertical to.
42? Because every time I see him dunk, it's like a rim grazer, like
Yeah,
two-handed dunk. And then even
but
he was surprised. He was like, "Oh wow, I
yeah,
was really surprised." I'm like, "Okay, so is it really like 40?" I mean, that's
yeah,
such a high, like that's like
it's
dunk
insane.
contest, like Nate
Yeah,
Robinson type of like hops.
it's
And I
crazy. But like
and you'd
he shot
never
what, like
see it.
51% from three in college.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
he's
he's a
ridiculous
crazy good
shooting.
shooter. He's a good playmaker. He's not a bad defender at all.
Yeah.
But I watch him play and I'm like, how is this guy like
I know
that
it's like
highly
top
ranked?
three. Yeah.
Like I don't know. And like if he goes to Houston, like I guess that'd be a good pick. I would prefer Stephon Castle if I'm Houston, but I mean he's a guy who I'm like I don't know what to think of him. Um, I really don't know what to think of him. Rob Dillingham is obviously fun, very fun to watch, but he's so
Yeah.
skinny. He's just so small. I don't know how he's gonna fit in
Dude, what
an NBA
about
offense.
What about De Silva? Is he one of your guys? Because I feel like
Ooh, actually,
he's nice
yeah.
though.
He is. I do like to Silva. I think he needs to beef up a little bit. I think that's like the one thing he didn't do at Colorado, is like actually gain some strength and stuff because that's going to be his issue in the NBA is the physicality. But he does everything well. I mean, he's a good shooter. He's a really good defender. He's a smart playmaker. He can score off the dribble. He can get to the rim and finish. He's athletic. He can dunk. He played so good in the Pac-12 tournament. Him and KJ Simpson were like the guys for Colorado in the Pac-12 tournament. But I like him. I like De Silva. I think he's like the prototypical wing guy that you want in the NBA.
Yeah.
He can shoot the three. He's a good defender, and he can attack off the dribble if you need him to. So like, I think he's gonna go same range as McCain, like late lottery, uh, somewhere there. So I think whatever team gets him is gonna get a good guy. I like him. I really like him. Another guy who I've seen, I saw like a list of all the publicly known draft workouts. Dylan Jones out of Weber State. That dude has worked out for like every single team. He's like
He's
the
like not
40th ranked
a
prospect or something.
yeah. He's like not like a prototypical like player. He's um like a Jalen Pickett, but like different like position. He's just like a different type of player, I
Yeah.
guess.
But like
Um,
I'm intrigued by him. I'm intrigued
yeah,
by him. I don't think Denver should take him at 28, but like if for some reason he drops to 50 something, I'll be like, yeah, dude, take it because he's very, very interesting. I also think Klingon is like I think Atlanta's between him and Rissa Shea, I think. So we'll see. And I think Atlanta's shopping. Um, but I like Okongwu with Atlanta too. Like Okongwu's good. I don't know why he hasn't started already at this point. Just taking another
hmm
center, I feel like he's going to just screw him up, even if you do trade Capella. So I don't know. But I like Klingon. I think Klingon's gonna be incredible. His defense is ridiculous. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
No, I
There's
agree,
a,
and
there's a
and
lot of guys in this draft. I'm like, they're gonna be really good NBA players, but I don't think they're ever gonna be all NBA type. Or maybe
right.
they get
I
a
mean,
couple All Stars here and there.
it pretty
So
much like the first overall pick, Rasashe pretty much just sums up this entire draft. Like
yeah.
really good NBA player, but like superstar, I don't think so. But I think that sums up the entire draft. Like there's going to be really good players all the way down into the second round. But do any of these guys become top five players in the NBA? I don't see it. I don't see it. Maybe the only I don't know. Maybe like the guys who probably have the most potential is like Sar and Klingon, I guess. I
Yeah, well,
mean,
Sar
Dillingham
Sar
could
I
be
think has
amazing.
the potential, but it's
Yeah.
because he's like a scoring, like
Yeah.
he has the most potential to actually get buckets. I don't see that with Klingon. I think Klingon he'll be like Brook Lopez type, where yeah, he can get buckets in the post, and once he gets comfortable shooting threes, he'll be a really really solid guy. But I don't think he's ever going to be a superstar guy. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think there's a ton of Derek Lively's in this draft. I'll say it that way. Like,
Yeah.
there's a ton of guys who are like, yeah, Derek Lively's good. He's really good. And impact, obviously, a finals team in year one. But I don't ever see him being an all NBA player. But he's going to be a
Right, right.
very impactful
But
NBA player for his entire career. So,
yeah, Derek Lively is like one of those guys where it's like it's hard to explain like why they're so good at the role because he doesn't have like much skill, I guess, like per se, I guess, like with the ball in his hands, he doesn't have much skill, but like just the off ball movement is just so underrated for big men. Like
yeah.
he just finds a way, like whether it's establishing post position, whether it's bullying Chet Holmgren on the glass, getting offensive rebounds, or perfectly rolling at the right time for an alley oop. Like yeah, he doesn't have good touch. He can't dribble the ball. He can't really do anything except dunk. But the post position he gets, um, I mean, it's just super underrated, and I've noticed that just like Jokic has just opened my eyes up to that. It's like how come some guys like Derek Lively are just so good, but then there's other guys who are big men and they can't really do anything except dunk, and they just fizzle out of the league. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't have that good, off ball movement and the good post position. And that's what I like about. That's why I don't think Edie's gonna like fizzle out of the league because I think he's really good at finding the open spots,
Yeah.
and being effective like that.
Yeah.
So
And he's like,
yeah,
Edie's
I
not
agree.
like, Edie's not like, he's slow because he's 7'4". He's not slow because he's not athletic. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's a big part of it. Like he is a good vertical threat because he gets off the floor really quickly. He has a decent vertical for how tall he is. He's obviously huge. Like he's a stocky build. Most guys who are that tall are skinny. It's not normal for guys to be that large in both ways. So I like Edie. I think he can be an impact guy in the right role. So I'm with you there. I think Lively does a really good job. His IQ is really, really high for his age. and his maturity level, figuring out where to be and knowing the scheme as well as he does. I think there's a lot of guys like that in the draft. I think Klingon's one of them. I think Edie's one of them. I think I think Jared McCain's one of them. Right? I don't think Jared McCain's going to be an All Star, but I think every single team in the NBA wants him. Is going to want him at some point. So yeah, there's a lot of guys. This draft is good. This like it's overblown with how bad it is because there's no consensus number one. That's why.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, honestly, you look at
Okay.
last year's draft, a lot of the top five guys, they're not that great. Like, the Thompson twins were good, but Scoot really struggled. Brandon Miller struggled to start. Wemby struggled to start. Like, it takes a while for these guys, but obviously they
Yeah,
had like the consensus top five was already made up before the season even started, really. So everyone already knew what was going to go on. But I
yeah,
think that's it for the draft. I think a lot of this is just speculation until it comes up, and then we'll see what happens when Wednesday starts. Because
yeah.
once the number one pick happens, I think then you'll really start to see everything more come into play. Because I don't think anyone knows what Atlanta's going to do
Right,
right now.
right. Yeah, I
Um,
agree. Um, that basically does it with that. The last two things I want to talk about is like the Caruso trade. That made me so mad, man. Like he's going to literally like Denver's. I just didn't want him to go to OKC or to like Minnesota or
yeah,
something like that. And of course, he's right there. And the trade that Chicago did makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. I don't know what Arturas Carnisova's learned in his time in Denver. Um, because he's been horrendous as the Bulls, GM there. I have no idea why he wasn't traded at the trade deadline. I have no idea why Andre Drummond wasn't traded at the trade deadline. And then I have no idea how you don't get a first round pick for Alex Caruso. Are you serious? Like one of the guys that every single NBA team wants on their team and can be a Derek White type of player, and they don't get a first round pick. And now OKC is looking a lot like Boston too, with the way that their
yeah,
roster is shaping out. They've got SGA who can kind of be like the Tatum. I mean, Jalen Williams is going to be a star, and he low-key kind of has the same game as Jalen Brown.
yeah, yeah,
And then obviously Porzingis and Chet, same thing. And then you've got just elite shooters all around, coming off the bench. You have a Lou Dort, Drew Holiday type of guy. And now you have Caruso, who's a Derek White type of guy. Um,
yeah,
so I mean, OKC is stacked right now. And to only give up Josh Giddey, who was almost phased out of the rotation in the playoffs because he was unplayable, man, it makes him so much better, man. Like,
yeah.
damn.
That's like the move of the off season right
Yeah.
there. Like I don't think there's a single team that can do better than that because they got rid of. I don't think Giddy overall in the league is a negative asset because he's 21 years old. He was good his first 2 years. He was a good player his first 2 years. It's just unfortunate. Jalen Williams' ascension really kind of took away his on-ball opportunities, and it's just not. Giddy's not an off-ball guy, so it just sucked. I think he should have been on the bench to start the regular season anyway, but you can't bench the number 7 pick that fast. But he was a negative asset for OKC. He was not good this season. He was benched in the playoffs, shouldn't have played in the playoffs at all, and that really screwed it up. And for them to get rid of him and get back the single most coveted role player in the
Like,
NBA
what?
for just him is ridiculous. And I think Chicago, I like not getting a pick back for Caruso isn't the worst thing in the world, but it is when you consider who you're trading him to. OKC has the most picks in the
Right.
NBA.
Right.
You had all the leverage to try and pry something away, and you didn't. I mean, when the tweet came out that they're trading him to OKC for Josh Giddey, I was like, oh, okay, they're getting a pick back or something else. But those are the two headline pieces. And then like an hour went by, and I'm like, yo, this is actually a 1-for-1. Like this is unbelievable. There's no way that's actually happening. But man, OKC, yeah, this is why I think Denver really needs to get a ball handler like that. I think backup center in the draft is their biggest priority, but they need a legit ball handler, and they need Watson and Brown to make big strides as ball handlers. Same thing with MPJ. You need more guys who can run the offense because now your two biggest threats in the Western Conference have the two best perimeter defenses in the conference. We already saw how Murray struggled against Minnesota. Obviously, yes, he
right?
was injured, but he really struggled to get any separation. He couldn't do anything, and they had so many different guys to throw at him, so many different looks. Now OKC has that exact same build. You have SGA, who was second in the league in steals and is a good one-on-one defender. You have Jalen Williams, who's a good one-on-one defender. You have Lou Dort and Caruso, who are two of the best one-on-one defenders in the NBA. Off the bench, you have Cason Wallace, who is going to be one of the best one-on-one defenders in the NBA in the next 2 years. Like they have all of these
And
guys they can
and
throw
oh,
at.
by the way, you have this 7-2 guy who averages like 3 blocks a game in the paint
Yeah,
too. Like, where are you supposed to go?
it's hard. This OKC team is built so good, and they're so young. Caruso, I think, is their only guy over 30
Yeah.
on the entire roster. He just turned 30. Like this team is built. That's a scary, scary team. And so yeah, Denver needs another ball handler because that is looking really, really scary. But I'm excited to watch OKC, man. I think both. I wasn't confident in either Minnesota or OKC winning the West this season. Even after I knew Dallas was going to win because I was like, Minnesota needs a heartbreak. You need a heartbreak before you can truly ascend to that level of championship quality. OKC, this is their first year in the playoffs. It's the first year that this group as a team has made it into the playoffs. Um, they needed the heartbreak of losing to Dallas, especially in the way that they did, right? Like you somehow win game four, lose game five at home. You should have won game six, but you foul a guy at the last second on the 3 point line. That's a heartbreaking way to lose your season. Minnesota, they were in every single game. They could have swept Dallas pretty easily. They could have swept Dallas,
Mhm.
but instead you lose in five because you couldn't close games. That's a heartbreaking way to lose your season. Those
Yeah.
teams are young in terms of getting into the playoffs, but now they have the experience. They know what they're doing. Now it's going to be horrifying playing them in the playoffs because they have the experience and they know what to do. And so Denver's really gotta get their stuff together, and they gotta be serious in the regular season and get the
Yeah.
West instead
Yeah.
of allowing a game against San Antonio to ruin your entire year.
They're just too like just nonchalant about it. I don't know. Like, uh, there, it feels like they need a player that I don't know, like just with Murray and Jokic, there's just they're so laid back as a team. And Malone is
Yeah.
that guy who's the yeller and the enforcer, whatever. Um, but I don't know. It just feels like they need like a Draymond Green type of guy on their team.
I
Um,
also I also legitimately think this was the case. They did not have enough players who hadn't won a championship yet. Last season, they had DeAndre Jordan, they had Reggie, they had Jeff Green, they had Ish Smith, they had all these vets who hadn't won yet, and everyone loves around the league. And they won it for them. They like were trying so hard to get
yeah,
those guys their rings. You look at Minnesota with Mike Conley, like they were playing hard for him. You look at Boston with Al Horford, they were playing hard for him.
that's
Denver,
our backup point guard next year, CP3
yeah, like they need a guy who like
or
has
Westbrook.
not won, so that they
Yeah,
want to win for him. They legitimately did not have enough power of friendship. Like I truly believe that was part of what it was because they didn't care. They looked like they did not care at all most of the season, and that's an issue. So obviously next year will be different. They will care, but yeah, getting vets, getting guys, ring chasers, it definitely helps. It definitely
I
helps.
know. Yep. All right. Oh, JJ Redick was hired. It looks
Oh
really
yeah.
weird. He had like his first press conference. I want to watch that, but I just saw like a
Oh
picture of
yeah.
him like at the podium as head coach. He looks so out of place, but um I I don't know. I don't know what to think of the hire because I mean, yeah, he's in love with the game, obviously, and I think he's really smart. Um and he's really like smart with like 2024 NBA basketball, like super modern um like coach and analyst and everything. And I feel like all his takes are kind of on par with like the smart like Twitter NBA takes. Like anytime he's on first take, it just feels like he's like part of NBA Twitter. Or
Yeah.
what was he said in the NBA finals, he was like, oh, Kyrie's an ethical scorer.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the only time I've heard like ethical like
Yeah.
is in Twitter. So it's like he's like the voice of like of NBA Twitter, I guess, and now he's like the head coach. Obviously has no experience other than coaching his fourth grade boys team. That's his only coaching experience. But has a relationship with LeBron, and that's the big thing. If you're going to coach a team with LeBron, you're going to have a good relationship with him to be
Yeah.
successful, I think. And so, that's probably the main reason. The GM strikes again.
I think I think he can be a good coach in time, but my issue this is like a Lakers specific issue because I think if this is not if this is the exact same team, right? With but like replace LeBron with like Tatum, right? Um and I think JJ is a fine hire for them. But with LeBron and in LA, it is so hard to have a rookie head coach. Like it is so hard because all of the pressure is on you when you lose, and none of the praise goes to you when you win. And I know JJ was a role player in the league; he's used to that happening. But like when you're the head coach in the most famous sports franchise
Yeah.
in
No,
America,
yeah.
it is hard. Like that, and I think as a young head coach, you need room to grow. You need to be able to lose games and make mistakes, and the Lakers cannot afford that. They are going to have to go as try hard as possible. They're going to have to go in as much as possible. They have to make use of whatever LeBron, the last 2 years of LeBron that they have. They have to make use of it. And I don't know if JJ is going to be an elite level head coach to the point where they can win a championship in time before LeBron retires. And that's my only
That
issue. I have no issue with him as a head coach. It's just this specific situation. I don't think it's right for him.
yeah. That is one thing I'm like thinking about, like, the rest of LeBron's career in LA with Redick as the head coach. Say they don't win a championship and then LeBron retires. Like, is Redick fired after that? Like, if 3 years down the line and the Lakers haven't won a championship and LeBron is done, is Redick done or like what? I don't know. I don't know. It is tough being like a head coach of the Lakers because if you don't win a championship, it's a it's a failure.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. You
which
have
is
a
crazy.
very, very short leash. You have an incredibly short leash.
Yeah. I do like the hire of Kenny Atkinson to Cleveland.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I just think that that's super solid. He was a solid head coach with Charlotte and with Brooklyn, and then has been on the Warriors for the past however many years as an assistant. But I think he's a really solid
Yeah,
hire.
I like that. I don't think Biggerstaff was the right coach for them. But I like him. I like Kenny. Honestly, I'm surprised it took him this long to get another head coaching gig. I
Yeah.
thought him with Brooklyn was great. The fact that he got fired in the first place from Brooklyn made zero
Yeah.
sense at all. Uh, but I like him. I really like Kenny a lot. And this is great news for the Nuggets. David Adelman somehow escaped a second straight coaching hiring cycle without getting a job. So we'll live with that. We'll live with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did Jordy Fernandez get hired as a head coach somewhere? I think he did. Did he not? Or is he
Maybe
still
in
at
like
Sacramento?
a let me look this up. I feel like I did see something, but was it in like some
I know he's
another league?
Canada's. I think he's Canada's head coach or something. Or
Oh
someone's
no,
head coach.
he did get he's the head coach of the Nets.
The Nets. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that's what is that? Two or three head coaches out of the
Is
Malone tree.
why did I think did Wes Unseld get fired though?
Kinda, yeah. Well, he like got fired, but he's in the front office now.
Okay.
He like stepped down. But
Oh wait, it says
but
he was the it says he was with the Bulls now.
Wes Unseld, really? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know
Maybe
that.
he just got hired there.
Oh, maybe, yeah. I don't know. But I know he was head coach. Obviously, Chris Finch with Minnesota. Now Jordy Fernandez. David Allen's gonna do it. Mike Nori at some point after this run with Minnesota, he's gonna get a head coaching gig somewhere. It might be this year, it might be with Detroit. I heard they're interested in him. So the Malone coaching tree is quickly evolving.
Yeah, it's elite.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's it. I like JJ as a coach. I think, like you said, his acumen with the modern NBA and knowing what works, knowing what doesn't, is really it's incredible. And I think having a modern, like a recently retired NBA player who knows the modern era, as a head coach is good. I think it helps a lot. He's gonna have to hire a strong staff around him. Hopefully, a veteran guys who know what they're doing to help him out with it because he's gonna need to grow. Like, if I will say this, if he's not coaching summer league for the Lakers, that's an issue. He should be coaching summer league 100%.
Yeah, yeah,
Because he needs the reps. He needs
yeah.
the reps.
I
But
wonder if this will be
yeah,
like the start of
but
like some trend. Like I'm trying to remember like guys who are really like fresh off of an NBA career. Like he just played in the league like 3 years ago. Um, like I can't remember another guy who just got a job like that quickly. Like maybe like Bill Russell or like Larry Bird, like back in the day.
I think
But
Larry Bird's probably the only one because like Steve Nash, yeah, but he retired in what, 2014 and didn't
yeah,
get one
yeah,
until
no,
2021. So like
I wouldn't
it
count
took him a
him.
while to get that.
When did Bill Russell start coaching?
But he was
I
a
don't.
player coach at the same time. Like
Yeah.
he was doing both. I don't even know if that counts. It's
But I
yeah,
wonder if
I
this will
think
become a
Larry.
trend. Like, what if like Draymond is like a head coach in like 3 years?
Chris Paul is going to be a head coach,
Or
one
yeah, I mean
hundred
Chris
billion
Paul.
percent. Chris
Like
Paul is going to be a head coach for sure.
if Redick works out, I could see Chris Paul getting a head coaching job soon.
Yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah,
like yeah, one of these guys like that. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if Draymond has a temper for it. I think he might get angry too quick. But Chris Paul, I think I could see Chris Paul doing it for sure. I know Rondo
I was gonna say
might
Rondo, like
be.
wasn't he like itching for a coaching job? But
Yeah,
then whatever happened to
he
that?
might be one of them.
Yeah. I mean
I
he
think
just
there's
got
other
like
guys.
arrested and stuff, so I don't know.
Trying to think of other guys in the league who might be like that. Chris Paul is the one guy. I'm like I would be shocked if he's not a coach at some point. At some point in his career. But yeah, it's got to be like
I think
I don't know, maybe LeBron.
I know I was gonna say LeBron, but I feel like he'd rather be an owner. Like that seems like the
Yeah,
route he's gonna take.
yeah, yeah. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see what happens. Yeah, I like JJ. I think JJ can be a good coach. I don't. I think he's once again it's because of the Lakers. Everything that they do and anything that happens with them is going to get kind of blown out of proportion. But I think he can be good. I just don't think it's going to happen in time for uh for the Lakers to win a championship. But hey, if it does, if he turns out to be good, um, good on them for figuring that out because every single person I've seen is against this hire.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so we'll see. We'll see. I thought the Hurley Hail Mary was so great. The fact that came out of nowhere
I
and
know.
almost worked. But I'm glad he stayed away.
Yeah.
But also I also am glad. Like we say this with like free agency signings all the time where it's like, I'd rather them go out and go do something fun and go do something new and try something different rather than just stay with the same team and be conservative. Like they could have hired Kenny Atkinson or James Borrego or gone JB Bickerstaff or something, but you get a new coach. You get someone who hasn't been in the cycle before. You
Yeah.
get someone a
Yeah.
new mind, a new face in the cycle. It's good. Like it's the I don't think there's anything bad with that. It's just with the Lakers in this specific timeline, it's hard to see that happening. But who knows? Who
Yep.
knows?
Yeah.
To wait and see. This is gonna be a fun NBA season. It's gonna be a really fun NBA season.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
excited. There's a lot of championship contenders. The West is gonna be a bloodbath. Whatever the hell happens with the Spurs and whoever they get alongside Wemby is gonna be annoying. So
Yep.
that'll be fun. Seeing the
Yep.
Olympics will be fun. It's gonna
Yeah,
be
the
nice.
Olympics, I've been watching like the trials and stuff for like track
Hmm.
and swimming a little bit.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun. I mean, Noah Lyles is definitely a personality. It's crazy. He came out like yesterday. They announced like all the runners' names and they all like didn't really do anything, whatever. They were just kind of standing around. And then the second they announced Noah Lyles' name, he's like running like 50 meters down the track already and like trying to pump up the crowd and everything. And he's got like his Pokemon card thing. Um,
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
that I think it like fell out though in his last race, and so he wasn't allowed to use it this time. But he's always like saying something. Um, so I mean,
Yeah.
he's an interesting guy. There's a
Yeah.
lot of Colorado people too. Like there's one person who went to this Anna Hall, I think is her name. She might win gold, but she went to Valor just like 10 minutes away from here.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and she's really good, good like heptathlete, I think. They like run, they do all a whole bunch of
Oh,
stuff.
all the stuff. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's supposed to determine like the best true like athlete in the world, and she might win it. She's really good. Um,
Nice. Nice. Yeah. The Patriot in me will be full fledged during the Olympics,
yeah,
specifically in swimming. I'm never more patriotic than watching swimming because it's
I
just
know,
it
right?
just
Something about swimming, like I don't know, maybe it's just us kind of growing up on like Michael Phelps and
yeah, yeah.
Lochte. Like I really like watching swimming a lot, but I don't really
Swimming's
know
a lot
too
of fun.
many. Like obviously I know like Katie Ledecky and like Caleb
Yeah,
Dressel and
those are the only two. Those are the
there's like
only two.
Simone Manuel.
Oh, I saw her. Yeah, she qualified today. I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah, swimming's fun, especially because like the swimming rivalries are crazy. Like the U.S. and Australia have like mad beef, so
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's fun seeing them.
Dude, and there's so many of the
For
guys
sure.
that like train in the US, but they're like the guy who went to ASU, Leon Marchand, he might win a
Oh yeah,
whole
yeah,
bunch of goals, but for France.
yeah,
ASU had so many. Oh, Reagan Smith is another one. Reagan Smith's really good.
yeah.
She was at ASU. Um,
The ASU has some
there's
crazy Olympic
I
athletes.
don't
It's
remember.
kind of
Yeah, yeah,
kind of weird,
yeah.
kind of weird. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see that. This is his first Olympics since 2016. That's like an actual one. 2021 was
Right,
weird because
right.
still COVID and stuff. So it'll be
Dude,
fun.
it's
Very
got to be
excited.
such a like I watched that 100-meter dash and that there's like Christian Coleman who was supposed to make it, but then he didn't make it by like whatever 0.01 seconds. Um, and to have like miss that and to have to wait 4 years when he's
Yeah,
already probably like 30 years old, man, that's just brutal. I mean, it's just
yeah,
over like that in
yeah.
you like because it only happens every
Track,
4 years.
track is so crazy. Like you work your entire life and like your whole year for like what, like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And if you mess up at hair, you are off by like an inch on your takeoff or your start, or like you stumble just a little bit, like it's done. You're
No, you're
over.
done.
It's
Yeah.
man, that
Yeah.
quick it can end. It's nuts. It's nuts.
Dude, I want to know what these 40 times are. Like, I wish it would run the 40-yard dash because I want to know like would I wonder if live
Fair
like would
enough.
any of these guys run like a 4-1? I don't know. I
I
don't know.
think so. I think
Yeah.
some of them probably would. Because like Tyreek, he ran like a 4.3 or something,
Two.
but his
Yeah.
100-yard dash is like 10.4 or something. So like
Oh wow.
I think
And
these
that's
guys' 40-yard dash would
yards.
be
And that's
ridiculous.
yards.
Yeah. And
I
these
wonder
40
if there
yard
could be
dashes
anyone that would be like 3-9. I don't know. I don't know. Because
Usain Bolt maybe. I
I
feel
always
like.
thought like under 4 is impossible, but that's like football players. I wonder if these track guys can go under 4.
Yeah. Because these track guys are like slim too. They like football players, you
Yeah.
gotta be bulky. You gotta have some meat on you. But
Yeah.
like these track guys are as light and as aerodynamic as possible. So I think they're
Oh,
sub 4 maybe.
there's the 16-year-old. I think he races today. He's
Oh,
16. I'm trying to see if he qualifies.
yeah, yeah. Was
Um,
it Quincy Wilson or something? I saw him on
yeah,
Twitter.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, man, 16 going to the Olympics. Oh my God. Oh my God.
And he's
That
racing
reminds me of like
against like
Katie Ledecky.
32-year-old.
Like Katie Ledecky
Yeah.
first went to the Olympics. She was like 15 and she
Yeah.
destroyed
No,
the
it's insane.
entire
It's the
group.
same thing like Reagan Smith, the last Olympics, she was like 16 or something. I'm like, what in the world?
Nuts. Olympic athletes are a different breed. They're
Yeah.
crazy. Specifically summer Olympic athletes. Winter Olympic is different. Like you can be Winter Olympic as like old as you want, but like Summer Olympics, dude, these kids legit like children are competing and winning. It's nuts. It's nuts.
So that
Is
would
it
be
this year
cool.
that the flag football is in, or is it
Ooh.
2026 or 2028, whatever?
I don't know because I haven't seen anything about flag football. There's some like tackle football league going on right now. Like I see like Canada beat Brazil or something like 110-0. I'm like, what is
I
this?
saw that.
I don't know where this league came from. I never heard of anything about it. And then all of a sudden I see those tweets. So I don't know what that is. But I'm excited. I've been like itching to talk some football too. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Once training camp starts, we can actually start to get into it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that'll be nice. Be nice. Actually get to see stuff. This
Well,
football offseason is so long. But
Oh my God, I know. But there's always something going on. That's what's nice about the NFL.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Um,
It's definitely nice. Definitely nice.
Game
Dude,
7
I
tonight too.
yes, game seven hockey. This is I saw someone say this might be the biggest hockey game ever, and I'm like, I'm not the huge biggest hockey guy, but it's kind of true. Like,
Yeah,
a
no,
Canadian team
I'm
hasn't won a Stanley Cup in like 30 years. It would be the best player of this generation leading a 3-0 comeback for that to happen on the road. Like,
yeah.
that's pretty nuts. Dude, if I was a Panthers fan, oh my God, I wouldn't be able to do anything today. There's like if I was a working Panthers fan, I would have to call off work like today and
No,
tomorrow.
for
There's no
I would
way.
be wanted to throw up. Is the game, where is the game? I don't even know. Is it
It's in
in
Florida.
Carolina
It's
or
in yeah,
oh,
it's in Florida.
I mean
Yeah,
Florida? Yeah.
yeah. So we'll see. But dude, I would. Ooh, I think Florida win. It's so the 3-0 comeback is insane. But like, I don't know, man.
I
The
know.
best
I have
player of the
a
generation doing it.
I
It's gonna be a
need
hell of a story,
I
man.
yeah, I had to bet on it. And it's like a profit boost. You need like 3 legs or whatever. I have like Edmonton plus 1.5. So there's whatever. Don't lose by 2. Um, over 5.5 goals, and then McDavid has to score, right? I think he's gonna
Mm,
score. So
I
those
think
are
so
the
too.
three.
That's dude. I haven't watched a single game
I
of the
haven't either.
playoffs outside of Avalanche games, but I'm gonna watch this one.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
That's what
definitely
I
watching this
like.
one.
That's what it feels like. Like Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp were like,
Yeah,
they're like,
on
oh, we're
first
gonna
take.
talk
I've
hockey.
never seen them talk about hockey on first take in my life.
No,
Now they're
no.
doing it. It'll be fun. This gonna be a good game. It'll be interesting. I just hope it's not a blowout. Please don't be a blowout.
Yeah,
That's all I'm asking. But
yeah.
we'll see. I'm selfishly hoping the Panthers win.
Really?
They are
I don't know.
yeah. They have a
I
former.
can't cheer for Florida. I just can't.
That's fair. That's fair. They have a former Evan Rodriguez. He was on the team last year, so I want him to
Oh,
get a
he's on
ring.
that team. Okay.
Yeah, he's on Florida.
I
And
don't know
also
any Florida people.
there's a guy in their front office who he's like one of the most beloved goalies of all time, but he lost back-to-back Stanley Cups and he never really got it. He never got a ring as a player, but he's in the front office like their assistant GM or something. So it'd be nice to see him get a ring in some way. Uh, I think McDavid has a chance to get more rings. Like
Yeah, yeah,
he's the best player. I talked with the Edmonton play-by-play guy, and I asked him. I was like, "Do you think Gretzky's better or McDavid's better?" And he was like, "I'll compare it to like Madden '04 versus Madden now, where it's like Madden '04, like yeah, it's like an incredible Madden, like it's a great time to play, but like you know that this Madden's better." I was
yeah.
like, "Okay,
Damn,
okay."
really?
That's what he
McDavid's
said.
really better like that? I thought, wow, that's crazy. I thought
That's what
Gretzky
he
was like
said.
untouchable.
I think his stats and his legacy are untouchable, but I think as like a skill, it's like LeBron and Jordan, where it's like
Yeah.
that legacy Jordan has and everything is untouchable. It's like if Jordan had Wilt stats, like that's what Gretzky
Right,
has.
right.
But like McDavid is LeBron. He's that's what it is. So like we'll see, we'll see. If he wins tonight, though, that puts him in the conversation at least. Like when his career's done, you're gonna be like, even if he doesn't win again, you'll be like, hey,
Yeah.
McDavid came back from down 3-0 to win a Stanley Cup, and it was because of him. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm actually I don't know. I don't know if I like Edmonton. This team's like been knocking on the door. They played the Avs a lot, and the roster's like the exact same, I feel like. So I don't really
yeah, yeah.
like I despise that Evander Kane dude.
Oh my god.
Um uh who else? I don't know. Yamamoto, I feel like just makes me mad for some reason. But they also have like, I mean, Dreisaitl's been there, and dude, I know a lot of these dudes. Zach Hyman, Nugent
I love Zach Hyman.
Hopkins.
Zach Hyman's like the most wholesome guy in hockey. I love Zach Hyman. He's a chill dude. I'd be happy if he won. It'd be cool if he won.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess I
we'll
just
see.
know more about Edmonton somehow. Seems like they've had the same team for the past like
They
five
have.
years.
They have had the same team
Yeah.
for a bit. We'll see. Game sevens when you're a neutral fan are the greatest experience of your life. But game seven when you're in it make you want to poop yourself the entire game. So we'll see. All right. I have to get going to the gym,
Yeah.
but good episode. We will see what happens with the draft and free agency as well next week. We'll probably get one out if whenever Denver makes a move. Won't be anything big, but we'll definitely get something out. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Cool.
Peace.